he becomes the youngest Xfinity Series winner at Daytona ever.
Alba, Florida's Ross Chastain wins in Daytona.
It's Justin Haley by inches. He has won again.
For the second time in his career, Jeremy Clements wins in the Xfinity Series.
Can you guys believe this?
He's going to go back-to-back as a winner at Daytona. Austin Hill is the winner tonight.
It was such a blast. I had so much fun. We won at Daytona. Let's go.
You win here, and it's life-changing, career-changing as we get ready for NASCAR Xfinity Series qualifying from the World Center of Racing, Daytona International Speedway. Alongside our crew chief, Steve Letarte, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Hall of Famer, and Nate Ryan is going to be covering pit road. Rick Allen with you as we see the first car out on the track. No, that's not Ward Burton. That's his son, Jeb Burton, out there in the 22. And we will have single car qualifying, and it's one lap. And that's a change. Junior, I don't know if you've ever done one lap qualifying at this racetrack, have you?
Well, it's still the same. You've got to get up to speed as fast as you can. If you took your time even in two-lap qualifying, getting off pit road, that was going to show up on the watch even in that second lap. But now it's even more critical. Getting off pit road, getting through the gears, getting to a specific RPM. Your engine guys are going to tell you exactly what RPM to shift at to be able to create as much acceleration as you can. Use those hills coming off turn 2, coming off turn 4, you coming off the top of the racetrack down a hill. Allow that to help the car accelerate. See Jeb Burton with his hand out the windshield. He's thinking that by sticking his hand out there, he's knocking a little wind off the left side of this car back toward the spoiler, trying to take some drag away.
And down there on the throttle and brake, you see the last green light not lit. I would say that's just a calibration between the sensor because his foot's all the way to the floor. That's as wide open as you could get. He's definitely not out of the gas at all.
Steve, I don't want to muddy the water too much, but this qualifying effort really doesn't matter because they got caught earlier in pre-race technical inspection, had to go through 3 times, so this qualification doesn't actually count.
Yeah, we've actually had 5 different cars that had issues in inspection for different reasons, but the simple result is 2 of those cars won't get a chance to qualify like the 22 did. None of the 5 will keep their starting positions, and all 5 will have to take a pass-through after the green flag.
A great paint scheme. I mentioned earlier, Ward Burton, his father, a very successful racer, especially at this track, won the Daytona 500 back in 2002. Tommy Baldwin, a part of that team. You saw him right there. Thoughts going out to Tommy as he has announced that he's now fighting cancer. And so he said he will temporarily shut down his NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour team to focus solely on getting better. Here comes Natalie Decker on the track now. Natalie with the Capital City Towing Wawa paint scheme.
10 career Xfinity Series starts. 1 start so far this season back in Charlotte. Has had some success here on the high banks. A top 5 in a truck race back in 2020. Trying to continue to fill that resume and experience level. You mentioned Dale getting up to speed. We saw the hand out the window. Really the third thing that you need a driver to do is that double yellow line right there. Put the left side tires right against it. Try to be a little quiet on the wheel, right? Don't chase the yellow line by sawing on the wheel. Nice and tidy around the bottom of the racetrack.
Yeah, there's probably maybe about a car length between doing that right or doing that wrong. You see that 44 right against that yellow line. If you get in the corner and you allow that car to move up the track a little bit, even a foot or a foot and a half, and then you try to turn the steering wheel to bring it back to the bottom, you knocked speed out of the car right there. And so that will continue to cost you all the way around for the rest of the lap. So when you turn down in the corner, you want to turn the car down in there to the line, be on the line, and then hold the wheel as straight as you can or as steady as you can. Like you said, not a lot of movement in the steering wheel as you're coming around the corners.
Cesar Baccarella finishing up his lap now. While he's finishing up, let's go down to Nate Ryan, who's caught up with last year's winner of this race, Jeremy Clements.
That I have. Thanks, Rick. And Jeremy Clements is the defending winner of this race. I'm sure that's really nice to hear, given not only being the biggest win of your career, but also that this has been a really tough season for you guys. How does it feel to come back here as a bit of a morale boost for the team that you can kind of relive last year's glory?
Yeah, Nate, it's great to be back at Daytona, man. Got such good memories from last year. Ready to go try to repeat, be as fast as the Xfinity 10G network, and put our all-South Electric one-stop convenience store Chevy up front. But, man, we all know we got to survive, be there at the end, and have another shot at victory. But it's awesome to be back here. I love this track. It's a lot of fun. We're going to hold her wide open and see what happens.
All right, he was able to survive to the end last year.
All smiles, 2 wins for Jeremy Clements in his career, and of course one of them coming right here at the World Center of Racing. We see another Wawa paint scheme. This time it's J.J. Yaley behind the wheel of the 07. This will be JJ's first Xfinity Series start of 2023. Jeb Burton first out, posted the fastest time at a 49.78. Yaley about a second slower than that. Goes 50.69, and next on the clock will be Blaine Perkins. Blaine, a 23-year-old out of Bakersfield, California.
So yeah, we compare speed-wise. You mentioned it, that lap by Burton. So far holding up pretty solid. It's hard with no practice really to kind of guess what these cars are going to run. Remember, later tonight when they get out here racing, the draft will dominate everything. You won't be able to make any speed by yourself. You'll definitely need help. More cars, the better. Put yourself in position. And much like Jeremy Clements said, it's kind of the key to this race has always been surviving, just because the wrecks start simple and grow very quickly. Many multi-car wrecks down here.
Junior, I noticed these drivers, are they trying to have the left side tires right on the yellow line or right touching the yellow line? Some are drifting up a foot, 2 feet, not able to hold on that yellow line. Is the fastest way around right along the bottom?
Yeah, they're, there's no practice. So when they go off into turn 1, you're going to pull on when you go out on the racetrack, you go to the top of the racetrack. You do that because you're trying to make that get up to speed lap coming to the green flag as long as you possibly can and allow the motor to build up enough momentum and RPM. Have the car coming as fast as possible when you get to that green flag. Then you get right to the bottom of the racetrack. But your first lap turning into turn 1 at speed is right now, right here. And so understanding how much to turn the wheel to be able to place the left front tire right next to that yellow line is almost by chance. And not knowing how the car is going to react. You don't want to bounce the car into the curb. You don't want the splitter touching the apron. That could knock speed out of the car, absolutely. And so when you turn the car in there, you want to place the left front right at the line, but you don't want to go over and you don't want to miss it. If you miss it and you're up the track even a foot, foot and a half, it's time on the racetrack. You're adding feet distance to the lap unnecessarily. Coming off the corner right there, you want to keep that car tight against that yellow line. A lot of drivers open the wheel up and let the car kind of drift up. You think that that's better because you're hearing the engine RPM stay up instead of bogging down, but the speed is in the distance, the length of the lap in feet. The shorter you can make that in this qualifying session, the better.
Sounds simple. We'll see who adheres to that as Greg Galding's out on the racetrack. But Parker Retzlaff is standing by with Nate.
That he is, Rick. Parker, 4th place finish for you here in February, so you come in here feeling pretty optimistic that this could be a ticket to the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I think we come in with a lot of confidence in our speed. We qualified decent here in the beginning of the year. We finished 4th. We qualified 4th at Talladega. I think our super speedway speed is really good, and I know that the JR guys will have the car tuned up good again today. So just thank you to everyone at Funkaway, and I think we'll have a good day, and hopefully we can lock ourselves in the playoffs at the end of the day.
All right, hoping to repeat his performance from February.
Thank you, Nate. So Greg Galding, who finished 2nd at Daytona back in 2020.
We haven't seen Gray in some time. It's been a few months since we've seen him enter the Xfinity Series racing. He's back here.
He's also about 0.8 of a second off of what we saw out of Burton. So that slots him 5th of the 7 cars that have been on the track.
Most every time we see Gray show up, it's the Panini support that brings him to the racetrack. I know he appreciates the years of having them behind him all to get him back to the racetrack when he can.
I remember Gray, when he started off, he was so young that he had chocolate milk as his sponsor.
Yeah. I think at one time he had donuts, Krispy Kreme as a sponsor.
Oh,
I thought that was like
cream donuts.
Now you're getting in my wheelhouse. You're bringing it all the way around.
That's like one of the coolest sponsors in NASCAR.
Josh Williams on track, and we go back to Nate standing by with Kyle Sieg.
Indeed, and a very famous-looking car here for Kyle Sieg. I've seen Larry McReynolds out here, so I think it's rather appropriate that you're here with the Davey Allison throwback. What's it like to run here at Daytona and run this paint scheme, Kyle?
Yeah, it's truly an honor to be in the Davey Allison 1990 throwback scheme. So I know we got some good Roush Yates motors under this car, so hopefully we can go and have some fun tonight. And just want to thank Night Owl Contractors for making this possible.
All right, pretty cool looking car here for Kyle Sieg.
Kyle, the younger brother of Ryan Sieg, also be in today's race.
His car jumped out to us now. When they all pulled on pit road, that scheme here at Daytona that Kyle's running it's pretty cool. Brings back a lot of interesting memories from Daytona.
Here's Jeffrey Earnhardt.
Yeah, Jeffrey had some good runs at the restrictor plate racetracks. Everybody remembers back at Talladega. Had Larry McReynolds up on the pit box and finished second in that race back in 2022. Trying to replicate that success here again in Daytona. There's Larry.
Hey, he's our Larry Mack.
He's back again this weekend.
Yep. Jason Anderson working with him.
See if he can recreate that same magic.
Yeah, from my brain there, I was trying to think of, it was Jordan Anderson who he's going to crew chief for this weekend.
I'm sure he's excited about the opportunity. It's got to be a thrill for him to sort of relive some of the, the excitement and urgency on top of the pit box. You know, that day when him and Jeffrey ran so well at Talladega, that had to have been an incredible emotional experience for Larry, even with everything he's accomplished in his life. When he comes back, he wants to do well.
Yes, he does. So with just 3 races remaining in the regular season, that means it's getting a little chaotic right there around the bubble in the Xfinity Series points.
About the war, not just a specific battle.
Creed sliding up into Herbst.
Thought it was a transmission issue, but when he came to pit road, it had a broken track bar.
As far as the point situation, it's just frustrating.
Well, now Parker Kligerman really needs to take advantage of this.
Oh, the 7's around in front of the field. A lot of cars piling in.
Right along with the 48 of Parker Kligerman.
Missing the 7 right there of Justin Allgaier might be the miss that gets him into the playoffs.
Turn 1, contact made!
And it's Sheldon Creed that will take the lead in turn 2. What a big change it would do to the points.
Creed misses turn 7.
Get oil everywhere.
To finish second and to gain points all day, that's good for us, but just another way to lose one.
3 points behind the 98.
We're doing the right thing. We just need a little more.
Go get him, baby.
How tight is the bubble battle? Well, as you look back at 12th, Riley Herbst is only 3 points ahead of Parker Kligerman. Only 12 will fight for the championship in 2023.
When you talk, the points battle is clear. But it's the same as it is in the Cup Series. A win and you're in, right? Now look at Brandon Jones back there in 14th. And Darlington and Kansas loom. Remember, the Xfinity Series still has races left. This is the end of the Cup regular season, but Darlington and Kansas have got to be highlights for this 9 team. I expect Brandon to be very fast.
And Daniel Hemrick and Creed right there, just 20-some points ahead of the bubble. This race right here is the one that they want to be able to get through and still have a pretty comfortable cushion. This is the weekend where they could lose that cushion with something going wrong on the racetrack at a place like Daytona. If something's going to go wrong, they just don't want to be a part of it. So while they've been able to stay immune from really the conversation around the bubble, it could turn around for them this weekend.
And Nate has caught up with Kaz Gralla before he climbs into the car.
That's right, Rick. Another driver who currently is below the cut line. You said that you feel like this is probably your best chance to win a race of the last 3 of the season, but drafting tracks haven't exactly been the team's specialty, but doesn't really matter as long as you're there at the end, right?
Yeah, you're exactly right. I think as a team, that qualifying is going to be what it's going to be. I don't think that that's what we're focused on here. We're hoping that our Island Coastal Lager Supra is as fast as Xfinity 10G when it counts in the draft, in Stage 3, with all the fenders on it when the white flag is out. And that's easier said than done here. But if we can do it, then we've got a shot to win, and this would be a great opportunity for us to make the playoffs. We were pretty good at Darlington in the spring. I think we'd have a chance next week, but I'm looking at tonight as being probably our prime opportunity to try to lock ourselves into the playoffs.
So how do you approach it, Cass, from a racer's perspective, when the mentality is mainly more about avoiding attrition than it is the speed?
Yeah, it's tough. You know, it's hard to know how to play these races. I've run up front and I've ridden in the back, and it can work out or not work out both ways. So it is definitely a tricky art here. But from what I've been able to tell over the years, if you go in with a plan, it's almost certainly not going to work out. Go in, race the race, gauge off the energy around you in the pack, and just do what feels right in the moment. I think that sets you up for the best outcome. So that's the plan, no plan.
A man without a plan who hopes to make winning his plan tonight.
A plan that's not a plan. Interesting from Kaz Growler as we see Garrett Smithley out on track. This will be his 12th start of the 24 races. He's only run 11 of the 23 that have been run. So Garrett Smithley on his qualifying lap is 10th fastest of the 10 that have gone. Ryan Ellis, the next out on the track, the 33-year-old out of Ashburn, Virginia.
I like that attitude and that line from Kaz Growler where he says you just kind of feel, you know, read the energy in the moment. You know, you kind of go into these restricted plate races with an idea of how you want it to go, but that's really what you do while you're out there, is sort of take stock in every moment, every corner, every lap. How does the energy feel? Does it feel like there's a lot of ridiculous things going on? Are you seeing things that are making you nervous? Are you seeing someone that's making you nervous? Maybe you try to avoid that at that, you know, but if things start to thin out, things start to calm down, that's when you maybe start to make some moves yourself, start to drive yourself through the pack. You kind of feel it out.
Is there a comfort level? I mean, do you say, I got to get out of here?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's times when if they would get, you know, 3 or 4 wide for multiple rows, you can't go anywhere either way. If it's 3 wide in front of you, you really can't go anywhere. And so if it's that way for a couple rows and there's a lot of race left, you might hit the radio button and tell your crew chief, look, man, everything's fine. I'm not having any problems. I'm going to back off here a little bit. Don't like what's happening in front of me. I'm going to wait for that to thin out. And as soon as it thins out, that's when you turn it around, start trying to move forward.
See Anthony Alfredo on at speed right here. The Dude Wipe sponsorship. Been a partner of Anthony's. We see that on the car a lot.
Saw Ryan Ellis slot in 6th, and I was watching closely. Ryan must have been listening to your explanation of make this track as short as possible, because he never left the yellow line.
That would
be on it the whole time.
I'm going to tell you right now, that would really be a cool sensor or some sort of a stat to have, is if there was a way to read footage for every car that runs a lap in qualifying, and who did the best job at actually making the track the shortest, and sort of see, you know, how that might compare to, you know, where they are in the order. Alfredo, a good lap there, dropping into 3rd. We're gauging now against the top 10 as those top 10 will move into the final round of qualifying.
It was 1 year ago when the big win came for Jeremy Clements.
By himself, behind him.
Clements battling up front as the wreck happened behind him, but the caution did not come out until they realized it was Jeremy Clements who was a nose in front.
It's a big race and a big win for them. They got busted on something with the engine, I think, after the end of that race, and it was just probably because they've used that engine so many times that it just was impossible for it to pass stick because it'd been bored out so many times. I don't know, but didn't seem to take the you know, the excitement out of the team and their thrill for being able to go to victory lane.
Yeah, still got credited for the win. So Jeremy Clements is still a Daytona International Speedway winner in the Xfinity Series.
I mean, one of the most experienced drivers in the field, right? I mean, over 450 starts in the Xfinity Series.
And he has great runs at restrictor plates and road courses. Like, this is a good little race car driver driving for a family-run team.
You mentioned good little race car driver. How about another winner here from Daytona standing by with Nate, Justin Haley?
That's right, two-time Daytona Xfinity Series winner Justin Haley. I know the big objective for you is actually tomorrow night in the Cup Series race, but how does it feel to come out here and be able to run the Xfinity and maybe get another chance for a third victory here?
Yeah, we've always been really strong here at the summer Daytona race, so I appreciate Campers NRV for asking me to do this race. And the 10-car last Xfinity start, planned at least with the College Xfinity program, so it's been awesome. 5 years stretch with them, and yeah, looking forward to a little bit of racing tonight and see what we can do.
All right, that's Justin Haley, hoping to become a repeat winner in the Xfinity Series tonight and a repeat winner in the Cup Series tomorrow night.
Here's Joe Graff Jr. on the clock now. 25-year-old New Jersey native. And we see in the green, again, comparing to 10. Top 10 will all advance to the second round, determine the pole and the top 10 starting positions.
I was going to say Wawa also on the side of this one. Steve Addington on top of the pit box. You mentioned Larry Mack, right? Steve, another. Now, he's full-time in the Xfinity Series, but a crew chief we've seen with a lot of success on Sundays for some of the biggest names.
Alex Gannett in the 91 on track now. The Canadian out of Montreal.
I see he's up track at least a half a car length right there. And off the corner. Giving up a lot of time. Obviously the lap's a little bit better than Clements, but it could be even better had he been able to tighten that up. I bet that was at least half a car length to a full car length he gave up. And again, up the racetrack here, and this is an extreme example of being up the racetrack, of course. But again, he's never been in this car, never run a lap here. He's turning off into Daytona at 170 plus for the very first time this weekend.
And if you're going to miss it up. Right? I mean, really, if you're going to be anything, turn a little too little and go up a half a groove, then turn down on the apron.
Yeah.
Tenth for Alex. Had one other start this year, and that was at the Chicago Street Race, where he finished 15th. Here comes Riley Herbst, and he's in a great battle right now. Right there on the bubble. We're getting into the playoffs.
Kind of heartbreak a week ago, right? They thought they had transmission issues and ended up being a track bar mount that sidelined the 98 car. He continues to do a nice job of putting this car where it needs to be, right? A lot of top 5s and top 10s. Had a good little streak going. Ended up 12th at, Indy at the road course. But then at Watkins Glen, I thought he was going to end up somewhere inside the top 10. You see here on board the 48 of Parker, who's racing against Herbst. You see right there, that's tire smoke as the rear end housing is trying to move left to right in the car with the track bar broken. One of many cars. I think we saw 3 or 4 cars with track bar mounts break at Watkins Glen.
Good time there, 49.97 for Herbst. And Connor Mozak is now with Nate.
That he is, Rick. Connor Mozak coming off a career-high 5th in the Xfinity Series at Watkins Glen. Now you're coming here, make your debut in the Xfinity Series at Daytona. Is it good to kind of have that momentum, even though it's a road course, coming to Daytona here to make your debut?
Yeah, for sure. Anytime you can come off a good finish, it just helps the spirits of the whole team. And I think having that momentum is good, and hopefully it'll pay off to a good run later tonight. I know everybody at Sam Hunt's worked really hard on this car. Just thankful to be driving it. Thanks to everybody at Toyota TRD. I'm excited to hopefully get out there and learn something and hopefully be there at the end.
All right, learning experience for Connor Mozak in his Daytona debut.
So here's Kyle Weatherman on track. And Steve, 2 cars ago, Jordan Anderson was supposed to be out there, but you had mentioned earlier with Jeb Burton failing pre-race or pre-qualifying inspection, he was not able to hold on to his spot. Jordan Anderson wasn't even able to qualify.
Yeah, there were 3 cars that actually kind of basically just failed the inspection process too many times. Pretty simple. But there's a couple other cars that had other issues. NASCAR to get specifically into the details. I did ask, would this be the only penalty, or will we see something next week? And when I spoke to Series Director Wayne Otten, he said, we have the ability at NASCAR to kind of impose a penalty right away. We thought that made the most sense for these cars. So for that reason, the 27 of Jordan Anderson and the 39 of Ryan Sieg, we talked to his brother Kyle Sieg, neither of those cars will even take a lap. So those cars will have to start at the back, no qualifying lap, and do a pass-through. It's going to be like a little mini pack, 5 cars all coming down pit road together.
A 5-car pack. All right, let's check in with the driver of the number 9. Brandon Jones is with Nate.
Indeed, here with Brandon Jones, and about to go out to qualify at Daytona. So how do you feel about your chances? And everybody looks at this as a race to win to get to the playoffs.
It really is. I mean, there's a very small window of opportunity to do this off of points, but I don't think we can really bank on that at this point. I think a win is what's going to get us there, So we've done a lot of studying on this one this weekend, trying to put everything together. And I know that the start of the year, it was looking so good until it didn't at the very end with all of our JRM cars. So we learned from that situation going back and forth. And I think if we can get everybody in that same scenario, then people are going to be in trouble. I think that I have confidence in our teammates to at least try to help the 9 group get a win here and get ourselves locked in. But there's a lot of moving parts and variables to these races, So just try to be up front all day, try to be aggressive enough to stay with that and don't lose too much track position. And I think that may be the key to success here to get one.
When you talk about that studying that you're doing, Brandon, how do you do homework for a super speedway race like this? Like, how do you prepare for Daytona? Is it just watching tape, replays? Like, how do you do it?
Yeah, I think it's important to get your spotter involved on this conversation a little bit. And you two both sit down, watch the race, study scenarios, and maybe, necessarily just watch your car, too, at times. And if you miss blocks or you did certain things, talk through those scenarios with each other and get that ironed out, because it's just a ballet act between me and the spotter all day long. I mean, whatever he's saying, I've just got to react to it. And the moment you think about what he's saying, then it's too late typically, So it's just reacting to those situations and it's just kind of staying on offense. Don't get too much on defense, because that's when you start blocking and doing, things that typically you wouldn't do naturally, So it's got to be natural here, in my opinion. And if you're going forward all day long, then you really have a better chance at it, I think, than playing defense and blocking.
All right, all about the choreography, the ballet between Brandon Jones and his spotter.
Brandon Jones, another one of those drivers that's below the cut line as far as making it into the playoffs. He's 61 points back as we look at today's schedule here on USA. Xfinity Series qualifying, that will continue at 4 o'clock on USA. Cup Series qualifying also on USA at 5 o'clock. Then countdown to green. Xfinity Series racing under the lights here at Daytona International Speedway. Tomorrow on NBC and Peacock, it's countdown to green at 7 with Cup Series racing at 7:30. Back to the action on track, and here comes Parker Retzlaff, another driver who was penalized for inspection issues. He'll be one of that 5-car parade that will be coming onto pit road after the green flag.
Parker has a few highlights this year, but it has to be how he kicked the year off here at Daytona, right, with a top 5 at the first race of the season. He's looking to try to match that.
Drifting up the track a bit there. Brings it back down, but still barely in the green.
I like what we heard out of Brandon Jones there about being on offense. I really think that's the right idea here when you come to Daytona. He mentioned in the spring, Junior Motorsports Dealer cars were really good and it didn't end up working out, but they're not the first organization that have had that happen. I mean, that's what this racetrack does. The fact that he's talking about it this far into the season tells me that there's a good chance they've learned from it, right? That it wasn't just a moment behind them. They've talked about it, they've sat down. Instantly he brought it up in his interview, which tells me it's kind of at front of the mind of the driver of the 9.
See Parker Retzlaff with that lap goes to 7th quickest. And Nate has a Daytona 500 winner that's a part of this race.
That's right, Rick. The 2011 Daytona 500 winner, Trevor Bayne. Now, you haven't raced since Homestead of last year, so I guess if there's a track you want to come back in and make your debut at this season, it's Daytona.
Yeah, I mean, I love Daytona. It's a little bit easier than maybe coming back to Bristol, but no practice, so Jason's just reminded me to get through the gears and do all the right things here. Super thankful for this opportunity, though. I didn't know if I'd get to race this year or not. Last year, I feel like we left some things unfinished, finished second a few times in some of Dale Jr.'s cars up there in the booth, I'm sure. But, I really would like to get a win for this group. Jason Ratcliffe has done an amazing job. He gets us this on the car, interstate batteries that are allowing me to do this. It's a big deal, man. So thankful for that. But we'll see. We'll see how I do here. It's just qualifying, so I got a lot of time to figure it out.
All right, Trevor Bayne and Joe Gibbs racing car at Daytona, though. You can't count him out.
Trevor Bayne still is the youngest ever Daytona 500 winner. When he won it, he was 20 years old.
I'm a little jealous because he still looks like he hasn't aged.
Much older than that.
He hasn't aged
12 years ago.
Man.
Now Brett Moffitt on the track, also the Wawa paint scheme.
Yeah, there's 4 of those in the field tonight. That'll be fun for us to keep track of. And here comes that Davey Allison lookalike. Kyle Sieg.
Yeah, Moffitt was 7th quickest as Kyle Sieg's now on the clock. And Kyle, the younger brother of Ryan. Kyle just 22 years old out of Tucker, Georgia.
And that is something to keep in mind, right? When we cover the Xfinity Series, and I think we're as guilty as anyone of putting them on the same type of stage as the Cup Series, but it's a good reminder just how young these drivers are, both in ages and in starts and experience.
There's not a ton of wind, just a little bit of wind in the face of the car down the back straightaway. So if the gusts are anywhere from as low as 6 miles an hour to, let's say 10 or 12, you're hoping as you're going down that back straightaway that you don't get any of those big numbers, because that can cost you a little bit of speed too. You knock a mile an hour or half a mile an hour out of the car down the back straightaway with a big gust, even just a 5 mile an hour more wind than the guy before you, you don't recover. Whatever you lose in speed during this lap, you lost it all the way to the flag stand. And so while we're not talking about big wind, which you tend to have here at Daytona, there is some wind out there that could play a role in the lap.
Kaz Grala is now on the clock, and Parker Kligerman, the guy who's just below the cutoff line, is with Nate.
He is, Rick, and a big week for Parker Kligerman. You announced that you're coming back with this team again next year, and I'm sure that you'd love to be going for a second consecutive appearance in the playoffs in 2024. So the goal here, Parker, is just max points and win tomorrow night, right? Or tonight?
Yeah, it has to be, Nate. First of all, great to see you down in this role. This is really cool. I love it, man. Love to see NBC trying everyone out in different roles. It's so cool. But yeah, thank you to Scott and Sandy Borgetta for this opportunity to be here with Spike Light Course. This has been a really cool experience in big machine racing, being a part of this young team, building up. And it's really cool in August to figure out that what I'm doing next year. So that's a new one for me, but it really allows us to lock in on what we're doing here tonight, and that is to go out, as you said it, be at the front, control this race, win the stages, win the race, and we don't have to worry about the points anymore. But even if we do have to worry about points, I think we can have a really solid night. We've got two great tracks after this in Darlington, Kansas, so I've got a lot of confidence that we can get up there, but it starts here in qualifying, and Patrick Donahue, Cody McKenzie, and this whole big machine racing team have worked really hard on this. So I just got to nail my shifts, do all the right things, hold the wheel like really softly, and allow this car to go as fast as I think it can go, and hopefully go put it on the pole.
All right, the future is set for Parker Kligerman. The objectives are simple for tonight.
Did he spell that out right, Junior?
Yeah, I think he did. He's got a great attitude about it. We'll see. Truth be told, now it all comes down to how fast the car can go, right?
Sure, right.
If somebody has a couple more horsepower than you, there ain't nothing you can do to overcome that
No.
at a place like this. But hopefully, if your car's good, you can make a difference behind the wheel. It's going to be a good lap here for Hemrick. We've been watching this qualifying session with Burton going out early, running the 49.70. Nobody's been able to really get close to that.
Until now. Fastest lap right there for Daniel Hemrick. He goes 49.72.
Yeah. So Hemrick goes out there and shows us what the rest of the field's about to do or can do. Still sitting there in third, Joey Gase, 49.95. That's an incredible lap for that little team. NASCAR might be looking for a bottle on that car when it's all said and done. He hit the button to run a 95 in that car, but they got to be pretty thrilled, to be honest with you, when you look at all of the cars that they're ahead of in qualifying for Joey Gase. especially the Herbst and Gralla, those teams, those are top 15 teams that they've out-qualified today.
Now we have Haley, who's Hemrick's teammate at Colleague. And I think, you know, if you're this organization, you just want to see similar speed, right? Dale pointed out the wind's pretty low, so there's not a lot of outside conditions affecting these cars. So you would like to see something down in the 49.70s at least, within the same tenth of a second bracket as your team car. It looks like he's going to be right there too, right on top of one another.
Haley's second quickest at a 49.76.
Yeah, and that right there is going to make the organization very happy to think those cars have such similar speed.
A guy who is above the cut line as far as the playoffs are concerned, Sheldon Creed, still looking for his first Xfinity Series win. Nate, do you think it's going to happen tonight?
I think Sheldon Creed believes it could happen. First Xfinity Series win here at Daytona. I know that the super speedways haven't treated you all that well aside from the second place at Talladega, but how do you like your chances for tonight, Sheldon?
I mean, I always feel good coming to super speedways. RCR does a really good job building good speedway cars, ECR motors. So looking to qualify well here and hopefully make the second round and go race and just try to run up front all night. I think that's the name of the game, is if you can go run up front all night and learn and you know, see what you need to do and how your car works and work well with teammates to set yourself up for the end and hopefully stay out of the crash if that happens. So I feel really good about it. We have some momentum rolling finally with an 8th and a 2nd the last couple of weeks. And man, I just want to get this wheel and RCR car in victory lane.
All right, Sheldon Creed hoping to keep the momentum rolling here at Daytona and make the playoffs.
Sammy Smith goes to the top of the board right there with a 62, a full 10th faster than second place Hemrick.
Well, and with, you know, some more Joe Gibbs Toyotas still to come, you would expect that's going to start to fill up that top 5. I heard from Connor Mozak a minute ago. Nate Ryan's a machine down there. He's talking about everyone.
A little smoke out this car here. Probably a little tire smoke on that left rear quarter panel. Don't you think, Steve?
Yeah, that's exactly what it looked like. It'd be just a bit concerning because in the pack, you know, you're going to pick up a solid, you know, second and a half, you know, 8 or 9, 10 miles an hour. So, you know, I know track bar location and things can definitely make a little bit of a difference. Looks a little cleaner on this end. Well, just like you talked, sorry, Dave, but just like you talked about winds, like the go-kart brake, yep. You know, if the tire's rubbing, it's slowing the car down as well.
Yeah. And why did it rub in turn 1 and 2? Possibly because of the wind carrying that car into that turn a little faster than into turn 3 on the back straightaway with a headwind. Didn't allow the car to travel quite as much.
So Connor Mozak is 18th fastest of the 25 that have been on the track. Comes another one of the Junior Motorsports entries in Josh Berry. He'll be behind the wheel of the 4 car next year for Stewart Haas Racing.
This is the first Junior Motorsports car on the racetrack. We saw these guys doing really well up until the very end of the race in February. I know we went to Talladega and have more, you know, experience at Talladega and Atlanta this year. But even with whatever happened there, this team is a bit, you know, they want to come back to Daytona and redeem themselves from what happened here in February. That was having 4 cars sitting there with a chance to win, and all of them failing to do that was difficult in the competition meetings to follow. And they finally back to Daytona with a chance to figure out how to redeem themselves and get one of those cars victory lane.
5th quickest for Josh Berry. And so he's got a 49.91. Again, the top 10 will advance to the second round of qualifying. One young man has very much impressed the world in pro motocross, and that is 20-year-old Jet Lawrence. On Peacock, it's the Ironman National from Crawfordsville, Indiana. And, of course, 20-year-old Jet Lawrence looking to remain undefeated. He wants to become just the 3rd rider in the history of pro motocross to do it. And that's James Stewart and Ricky Carmichael are the two that he would be joining. Carmichael will be the honorary pace car driver for tomorrow night's Cup Series race.
Well, and I can't wait, starting just in early September. Back in Charlotte, ZMAX Dragway, the Super Motocross World Championships kick off, which is kind of the combination of Supercross and motocross all coming together, both I call it the indoor. It's really the stadium series, right? Yeah. We see them run more like football stadiums, places like here at Daytona, right in the Tri-Oval, versus the motocross, the big outdoor tracks. Now we're going to put all of that together for 3 basically monster events. They're going to be gigantic. September 9th at ZMAX, and then a week later up in Chicago at Joliet, and then just the final week out at the LA Memorial Coliseum. So 3 weeks in a row to, you want to talk about bragging rights. It's going to be, I mean, right now, Jet Lawrence has all the bragging rights because nobody's even come close to touching him in the motocross side.
I think the guy who has bragging rights in the Xfinity Series is Sam Mayer. He's standing by with me.
He does have bragging rights as the most recent winner in the Xfinity Series, winning at the Glen, your second victory this season of your career, and now you come looking for your first win at Oval. Does it? I know it's a completely different track, but do you feel a little more confident coming to Daytona off of that kind of success?
Yeah, you know, like our standing room only Chevrolet is really going to be really fast today. We just got to go out there and prove that. Header motors under the hood and all that kind of stuff. So I feel really good about it coming on to a super speedway. We've had really good cars here in the past, so we just got to make sure our car stays as fast as Xfinity 10G and stay up front. We got to qualify up front, but I think we'll be really good today.
You're in the playoffs, obviously, Sam, but your junior motorsports teammates are some that aren't. How do you guys work together? Do you strategize? Do you game plan? How are you going to figure out tonight's race?
Yeah, it's always good having teammates out here because you want the more friends, the merrier. So try not to make enemies while we're out there on the racetrack. We just got to stick together as an organization. Obviously, getting the 8 and the 9 into the playoffs and secured in the playoffs is a priority for the organization. But whatever happens, happens. And hopefully we're pushing to one of my teammates or even myself for a win today.
All right, that's Sam Mayer, most recent winner in the Xfinity Series.
Sam putting on a cowboy hat.
Now, why did you chuckle at that?
I don't know.
You don't see him as having a cowboy hat?
I just think, you know, since his wins, since the 2 wins and him sort of, you know, doing it at all costs, he's sort of showing a personality, his personality a little more. I feel like when a driver wins their first race or at least sort of checks the win column, it's sort of opened them up to be themselves or show, you know, who they truly are. You kind of feel like you don't deserve that luxury until you become a winner, right? Looking at this car right here, the front end of that Camaro on the 9 car, you see that gray tape across the front end, and these cars aren't allowed to lock bumpers. It's also on the back of this car as well. It's kind of that gray tape. They're not allowed to lock bumpers. They can do a lot of pushing, and they tend to move around across the backs of each other's bumpers, which can spin the cars out. And that tape, I would say it's got the consistency of candle wax. And so it allows to be manipulated and moved around, but it won't steer or turn the car or wreck the car off the nose of yours. So it's this new tape that came into the sport over the last decade. And the drivers, I think, really like it because, again, you know, some of the cars won't have it. You won't really notice it on some of the cars, but some do. And it gives you a lot more forgiveness when you're in those tight, very aggressive battles late in the race when there's a lot of pushing going on. It can actually save you from some pretty nasty crashes.
And the other thing is it tries to keep the bumpers intact. To Dale's point, that's a great explanation of exactly what that material is. The problem is, you know, 99 laps into this race, when it's all on the line, are the bumpers still going to be this pristine? Have they been beat in, banged in, or even worse, do you have somebody who has had some repair? I mean, we see guys with like literal duct tape around the corners of their car. Well, that gums up, and it's the exact opposite. Now you catch a guy that you didn't even think. Now I push him the same way I pushed everyone else, and this guy turns backwards. So I do like the teams that run it. I think it's a great idea. Anything to help the driver.
Yeah,
that's going to take full aggression.
That is something, you bring up a great point, Steve. That is something to watch for tonight when the cars do start to get those, you know, bare bond repairs and so forth. Where the teams put them will be critical, and they will have a negative effect. If you have to put that across the back bumper of your car, it's a glue. It's going to, every which way the car behind you moves, it's going to steer your car in that direction and be very uncomfortable. And that's what that tape does, allow it to slide across, the bumpers to sort of slide back and forth across each other.
Last 5 cars, we've had some fast laps. Sammy Smith went to the top of the charts We see Trevor Bayne. He just goes to third fastest with his lap at a 49.75.
Well, when I look at the field and qualifying specifically, I mean, you have 3 rocket ships from Kaulig. You're going to have 4 rocket ships from Junior Motorsports and 3 from Joe Gibbs Racing. Now, I'm not going to discount anyone else in the field with the opportunity to put their car up into the mix, but that's a big chunk right there. I mean, that's basically 10 cars. So to kind of work your way up into that mix can be very difficult, because if you want to go battle Chandler Smith, he has 2 friends up there. Now, I don't think they can orchestrate it perfectly like a dance, but if someone has to make a choice, you know, you're going to push your teammate as Smith goes to the top. Smith and Smith so far in the front row.
Chandler and Sammy are 1 and 2.
It's the law firm.
Smith and Smith.
Smith and Smith.
Smith and Smith were really fast. 7 of Justin Allgaier is the last of the 5 cars that we will see that has had this issue, so he'll have to make a pass through, which, look, could be no big deal. If they get an early yellow, they'll come right back up into the field. But if 40 laps go green, 5 of them by themselves, I'm not sure will have enough pace to keep the field from running them back down. So it'll be interesting to see how they go, but good pace so far at Allgaier.
Yeah, it's not as good as I think we would have hoped at Junior Motorsports, and this is comparable to Jones, another JRM car. Looks like the Kaulig cars and the Gibbs Toyotas showing up with a little bit more speed just here in qualifying at least.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I do like that they're similar. Now, I'd rather have them similar faster, obviously, but at least they're all, you know, I'm saying as an organization, you could tell they're working well together, that they're close to the same speed across the 3. They all have the same engine package underneath the hood versus like the Kaulig cars would have RCR engines. The Gibbs cars have Toyotas.
We see Allgaier pushing Jones out of that top 10 at a 49.85. So Allgaier and Berry very close, both from Junior Motorsports.
Here's Parker. I really think, I thought this was going to be a locked-in car when you go back and you look at that first Atlanta, right? He was in position and kind of got caught in the rear bumper coming through the trial. I don't know if he would have won it, but it would have been a drag race to the line. So road courses and super speedways, I think, are the 48's strength. That's not to take away from all the standard races, but I think they're really working and trying to build that program. So I think, you know, this is going to be a big highlight. And Dale, I like the announcement of Parker's return. There's already a lot of pressure to make the playoffs. And, you know, you can't remove that pressure, but knowing what you're doing next year has got to help Parker just take a deep breath and really focus on tonight.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, and like he says, first time in a long time he's had his plans understood early before the offseason. It's going to be a good lap. Car continues to build speed. Third fastest.
That's a fast enough lap that he's locked into the top 10. He won't be taken out of that. 5 cars still to go, so the top 5, I think Bayne is even locked in with that speed, even if the next 5 go faster.
Here comes another RCR engine, RCR-owned race car, Austin Hill driving, and he'll be compared to Joey Gase during this lap.
Take a look at this from earlier this year. And we talk about it's hit and miss as far as what you're able to do at Daytona. That was a hit right there that caused an incident, but in the end it was Austin Hill who ends up in victory lane at Daytona.
And we're comparing now to Smith on the pole, and this lap here is good enough by over a 1/10. That's going to knock Joey Gase. I'm kind of disappointed. I want to see if Joey Gase could run in the top 10 if he had anything left in the bottle there. But it looks like Austin Hill's going to put it on the stop, take the pole position away from the 16 team by a lot.
Jermaine was driving one-handed, right hand off the wheel.
49.37.
Pretty incredible lap.
So to Dale's point about qualifying driver and car, now let's move forward to the race. Austin Hill is very good at speedway racing, but this just reminds us all, you know, he's not driving just any old car in the field. Like, his car has amazing speed. Dale's the one that kind of really pushed me to believe that. You used to come down here as a crew chief and think, oh man, it's all opportunity and draft, and he kept telling me, if it's fast, I can do more, and the better we made our cars, just, you know, quote, good luck came your way because you were fast enough to avoid stuff. I think that's what you're starting to see out of this RCR group, right? Austin Hill, they feel they're going to come down here with a chance, and now to put that good of a lap up, it's only going to give them even more confidence.
Here's Sheldon Creed. We're back to comparing against 10th, and this is Berry. Josh Berry looks like he's going to get bumped out if Creed continues on this pace.
The RCR car is doing a really good job here in qualifying, showing the speed. There's a lot of race car and motor going on here. Be able to put this package together and get these cars now, putting Creed in third.
Well, let's not forget in Atlanta, which I consider the last kind of restricted plate style racing track, they had all this speed in qualifying as well, but they couldn't run the second round. They both had to go to the garage and change transmissions. So here we are back at a speedway style race. Speed's still there, and hopefully they've figured out their mechanical issues with the transmissions.
Coach Cole Custer, he's on the clock. As you mentioned, Creed, a 49.58. So he's locked in to the final round of qualifying.
Dale, what do you make of the Cole Custer season?
Man, it's been disappointing. I mean, listen, I'm a big fan of Cole, and I think, you know, he left this series to go in the Cup Series, dominating in the Xfinity Series, winning lots of races. And when I heard he was coming back, I was like, oh, man, we are in trouble. This guy is going to be able to take the fight to some of the best Gibbs cars. It's going to make a tough season to try to win a championship for a junior motorsports car, even tougher. But they've struggled. His only wins have come at 2 road courses. You would not have bet that earlier in the year that he wasn't going to be a guy that wins, you know, several mile-and-a-half races, contends everywhere, and they've just struggled. And it's they've gotten in wrecks. It's been some mistakes on Cole's part. Not quite sure where they're missing it, but not that they can't get it together. Look, I don't want everybody coming at me, all the Cole Custer fans.
No, I asked because I have the same opinion. Yeah. I thought it was going to be like an 8-9 win season. I thought he was just going to be unbelievable, and it's been okay. Yeah, just kind of okay to my expectations.
Very close to what Cole Custer just ran is John Hunter Nemechek. See him only about 1/100 of a second faster.
And this is what makes that lap by Hill so impressive. Because if you started in 10th, 0.79, 0.78, 0.76, 0.75. I mean, you could barely get your stopwatch to stop that quickly, the difference between the two. And then you have a 37 at the top. I mean, that's 4/10 clear of 10th. I mean, 2/10 completely clear of second.
And it looks as though he's going to bump Custer out and get into that top 10, but there's still 1 car to go.
It's close, just barely.
Sam Mayer is going to be the last car that will take time in round 1 of qualifying for the Xfinity Series. All right, make your predictions now before he comes to the line. Can he break into the top 10?
I'll let you know, and just I'll tell you what, I'll let you know by the time he goes into turn 1.
Turn 1? That'll be the determining factor?
No. Look like it's going in the right direction.
Sooner. I heard sooner.
He's going to use the data of his 2 teammates are in the 8s, yeah. and all 3 junior motorsports cars very similar. So I would expect this one to cover about the same time. He's just outside the top 10.
Yeah.
Now I do want to say though, unlike in February, even though this is going to be a night race, this surface is going to sit in the sun all day. Like, these cars aren't going to be, wide open like you're driving down the interstate, no slipping and sliding. So, you know, there are decisions crew chiefs make that will definitely take a little speed out of the car by itself. You don't think it hurts it as much in traffic, because if we think 1/10 of a second is a lot, if Sam Mayer has to lift off the gas for just a second, it's going to hurt the speed of the car.
And after seeing the car now, I understand the cowboy hat. I mean, Tim McGraw's on the side of the car. He's got to have a cowboy hat.
There you go. Yeah, Tim McGraw's riding on board this weekend. You know, I agree with you, Steve. I'm not a whole lot concerned about the lack of speed in all the junior motorsports cars. I think handling will play a factor. Being able to be aggressive with the steering wheel late in the race will be important, and the car being able to handle and have grip will be important in those moments. I've had some very fast cars down here that didn't qualify better than 20th. Just really raced well, and you think about the draft and all the things that the cow and the car pulling up has to do. We're going to take a look at the top 10 here that have advanced into the final round. All these will re-rack and run again, and we'll see if Austin Hill can back up that 37.
The cowboy hat, Rick. I knew you were good at those wordles and things, all the different games. You connected the dots there.
I got there with it. Okay, Junior, you kind of skimmed over this, and I know everybody that's listening wants to kind of understand. Your organization, you were one of the best ever at this type of racetracks. You won 6 times here in the Xfinity Series, so you're one of the most winningest drivers here. What do you go back and tell your employees how to either set the car up or your drivers how to drive it? Because you have knowledge about this place better than – there's only 2 that were better, and one of them was your dad.
Well, the advice I give the teams, if at all, is the same that I used to give Steve when we would talk about our cars. It's you got to do everything. All the tiny things add up. And when me and Steve really started focusing on the small details, I felt like I had a car that would do things that I wanted it to do, so I was more confident to make it do them, right? If you're driving a car and you don't believe it can make a pass or you don't believe it can get the run, you'll not do the things that you need to be doing. You'll be timid and question what moves you can and can't make. And a lot of times you end up sitting in line and watching other people make those moves. But when you know the car, at least feel like the car can do it, you're on the offense all the time, taking every run. That's kind of the advice I give the drivers. Take every run. Do something with everything. Try to learn every lap. And not all the runs and moves you make are going to work, and that's okay. Don't feel bad if you lose 10 spots. It's okay. You got a whole race to work your way back up through there. But if it turns out that it works, not only have you learned something, but you've also shown the field around you what kind of good race car you have. And when your competitors start to see your car is good and believe your car is good, man, you get more and more help as the race goes on. So those things are really important out on the racetrack. And so, and every driver that I ever talked to about plate racing, we talk about air and the draft and all of those things, but it's really about an attitude and a mentality.
Well, Nate is standing by with a driver who was on the track about an hour ago. So is he ready to go back and try it again, Nate?
I think that Jeb Burton is ready to go back out, Rick, especially in this paint scheme. I want to start by asking you about that. I mean, I think anybody who knows your dad winning the 2002 Daytona 500, Jeb, certainly remembers this look. So, and you and Ward Burton just took a photo in front of the car. Like, what's this been like for you?
I stopped traffic back there. I don't think NASCAR liked it too much, but I appreciate them letting Dad not do that. We took a picture at the start-finish line, and I'll never be able to run this number again. Just really appreciate Tim Cindric and Roger Penske for allowing me to do this. First off, they own the numbers, so really appreciate that. But the damn car looks so cool. It looks good. The font is the exact same. Really appreciate Career Tank Lines and State Water Heaters and all our partners for getting on board and allowing us to do it. It's a fast car, and just excited for tonight. They took a little speed away from us last night. Wasn't very happy about that. Just excited. Feel like I did my job getting up to speed, and I didn't use the brakes at all coming in. So hopefully some of these guys did, and my stuff still pulled back so we can try to get the pole.
Well, as you mentioned, you're going to be starting from the rear, but this is a paint scheme that's won here before, 2002 Daytona 500. I mean, do you feel any sort of special, like, hey, this is almost meant to be? I know you haven't won here, but you've won at Talladega. You're a good super speedway racer.
Man, I've wanted to win here more than anywhere, just because of what my dad's done and what my uncle's done here. This place means a lot to me and my family, and been so close. Been leading, getting into turn 3 a couple years ago, and just want to win here really, really bad. So just appreciate all our partners, appreciate Xfinity Internet and everything they're doing for our series. Just excited to be here at Daytona. We need to get some stage points. We need to get back on the lead lap. We got to do the pass-through, like you said, get some stage points, win some stages, and hopefully be there at the end. I feel like my guys, look at the cars we out-qualified. We're a small team. We got ECR power. They do a lot for us, but we don't have a full-blown alliance with anybody. We've been doing a lot with a little, and just appreciate Jordan and John and our whole team. We're a little group, but we stick together, and we got each other's back, and we're trying to rattle some cages, and hopefully we can make it to the next round of the playoffs and maybe get another win tonight.
One more for you. We just showed your dad over there. Obviously, he's taking this on. He'll be here tonight. What do you think it would mean for him to watch you win in this car?
He teared up a minute ago taking that picture, so that's pretty neat. You don't see much emotion out of him, so this means a lot to him. We got his good buddy Tommy Baldwin on there. I know he's battling cancer right now. We're thinking about him and his family, and just got a lot of supporters here with us, man. Just
excited to be back at Daytona and want to make it happen.
Could be an emotional night for Jeb Burton and his family.
And interesting, a lot of people don't know this because I think they kept it a secret. Ward Burton, Jeff Burton, and there's another brother that's a part of that, Brian Burton. And both Ward and Jeff have said that Ryan, the middle brother, was the best racer. Like they said he was the guy who would go out and win on the kart tracks. He would go out there and win. And those two have had incredible success, both winning here at the World Center of Racing. So pretty cool when Jeb says it's big for his family. It's huge for his family. The Burton family has had great success here, and Jeb would like to go out there and have that same success tonight behind the wheel of the 22.
In that 2002 race. After 7:45 here this evening. Tomorrow,
Qualifying from the World Center of Racing for the Xfinity Series underway as we're getting ready for the final round of qualifying. The fastest 10 in round 1 are going to take on the 2.5-mile high banks here at Daytona to find out who will win the pole as well as the top 10 starting positions. Rick Allen with Dale Earnhardt Jr., Steve Letarte, and Nate Ryan down on pit road, chatting with all the drivers. We see Daniel Hemrick there putting his sunglasses back on. Want to take a look at the top 10 and the drivers that will be fighting for the pole. Austin Hill went out and put a very impressive lap up at a 49.37 in the first round of qualifying, all the way down to John Hunter Nemechek. Those two right now fighting for the regular season title. They are leading the battle right now as far as playoffs go with wins. John Hunter Nemechek the most so far, Austin Hill right behind him.
And a mix of organizations with two manufacturers. See a bunch of bow ties and some Toyotas. No Fords at the moment inside the top 10, but you mentioned it. RCR and Austin Hill. Colleague Racing is in there. We see the Joe Gibbs Racing cars. So it's going to be interesting to see if that unbelievable speed from Hill can be repeated, because it's a standout lap in the first round.
Great opportunity for Parker Kligerman to be in this top 10. I know that the draft and all of the shuffling that could happen out there on the racetrack really means that qualifying doesn't amount to a ton at this racetrack, but that early track position, if you're smart, and I know Parker is very smart and savvy, he will be able to maintain it and hold it, possibly getting a lot of stage points in that first stage. So could be the beginning of, that's qualifying well is the first salvo, right? That's the first thing you do either wrong or correctly to get the weekend off to a good start. And so Parker and those guys are doing some good work.
It's the first thing you can win in the weekend. Somebody wants to go out and win the pole so they can start up front. And one of those drivers who was the 6th fastest in round 1 is Daniel Hemrick. He's with Nate.
He is, Rick. And Daniel off to a good start here, getting through the first round of qualifying at Daytona. One of the drivers that's looking to lock in here for the playoffs. How do you feel about your chances tonight?
Yeah, I feel good. Anytime you have the opportunity to strap into a Colleague Race Chevrolet, it's a good day at Super Speedway, no doubt. So I appreciate Matt Colley and Chris Rice for having me once again. It's fun to be at this part of the season. I love the grind of, how every little thing matters. So good start here for us in this Circle Chevrolet. I got a little bit of work to do to get as fast as Xfinity 10G internet, but making the second round with all 3 of our cars is a big deal for our organization. So huge thanks to RCR and ECR for all their help for what they do for us. And playoff racing, man. It's you never know what you got coming to Super Speedway. You enhance that unknown, but it's fun to come here and have a shot.
All right, Daniel Hemrick loves the drama, hopes to make some news tonight.
He's behind the wheel of a Chevrolet. There's 7 of those and 3 Toyotas in the top 10. They'll be fighting for the pole when we return to Daytona International Speedway. All smiles for Cole Custer. Nemechek is going to win in Atlanta.
Heck yeah, boys! Heck yeah!
Austin Hill, 4th win of 2023.
Congratulations, buddy. Congratulations.
Call John Hunter Nemechek.
Wow, for the man.
The next stop for the Xfinity Series right here, Daytona International Speedway. Cup Series qualifying will be at 5 o'clock here on USA, then countdown to green for the Xfinity Series racing. And tomorrow on NBC and streaming on Peacock. It starts at 7 o'clock with countdown to green, getting us set for night racing at 7:30. Cup Series taking on Daytona, and that will be the last race of the regular season to determine the 16 drivers fighting for a championship. Let's check back in with Nate.
Thanks, Rick, here with Sammy Smith. So you were 19th here in February, Sammy, but you're coming off a top 10 at another drafting track at Atlanta. Yeah. Do you feel like you're starting to get a handle on this place as you make your third start here at Daytona?
Yeah, I do. We brought a lot of speed in our Pilot Flying J Toyota GR Supra, so hopefully we can just run up in the front all night, learn all night, and just be there at the end. I think goal is to obviously finish the race and just be there at the end. These races seem to get kind of crazy towards the end of the year, getting closer to the playoffs. So I'm excited to be here in Daytona and looking forward to it.
All right, Sammy Smith already locked in with his victory at Phoenix.
Thanks, Nate. As first car out was the slowest of the 10, the top 10 in the first round of qualifying. That's going to be John Hunter Nemechek. He'll go out and post a number. We'll see if he can back up what he did in the first round, which was a 49.79.
And if they get the temps right with the engine, I expect cars to go faster. So, you know, why run a second time? The hubs now have temperature in them, the transmission, the rear gear, the axle, all of the rolling resistances should be down. The question would be the brakes. We heard Jeb Burton mention whether they used or didn't use the brakes coming to pit road. NASCAR is supposed to make sure the brakes are engaged, but they still kind of mechanically pull back a little bit off the rotor, which would help speed. The real question is, did they get the engine temperature correct to match the tape? Now, with only one lap in each round, that's way easier than it used to be when you used to have to run 2 laps. But if you get too hot, it can hurt power. So we'll see, A, do they all go faster? And as close as the top 10 what were, at least in some of the positions, right? You know, a couple hundreds here or there can move the order around.
Nemechek down the back straight. We mentioned 179 miles an hour is what we'll see here in qualifying with a single car. When they get together in a pack, we'll see speeds upwards of almost 190, maybe over 190 miles an hour.
Yeah, and that's where Dale was talking about the handling and being, would you say, aggressive with the steering wheel. Right, at 190, or excuse me, 180, the cars drive great. But when you get that big push into turn 3, come into the checkered, and you got to be able to pull from the top to the bottom, you have to be able to turn that wheel with some confidence that the back is going to stay underneath you. And that extra 10 or 15 miles an hour makes a big difference.
There's those 8/100ths of a second you mentioned. He's a little bit faster than what he did in round 1 with a 49.71.
I like your idea of the distance tracker, Dale. That's I hadn't heard that one yet, but I would be interested to see.
I bet
it has to be accurate,
the technology.
But yeah, it's going to be down like a foot or two. You know, it's not going to be.
Well, I was going to say,
I don't know how much it's going to be.
As detail-oriented and how precise you drivers are, I would have to say you'd almost have to go with inches.
Yeah.
Because you guys would come down to inches as far as who was making the shortest track around here.
Yeah. Well, there's a, there's a little story I tell about going to Talladega for the first time and thought I knew what I was doing, and Dave Marcus showed me how I was adding hundreds of feet to the lap, and it's easy to do. It's easier than you think. And drivers will say it's, qualifying is all car. Qualifying is all about, the wind, the car, everything working perfectly, and the driver has zero to do with it. It's not entirely true. Now, the driver's percentage is very small compared to other events, other racetracks, but you can ruin the lap. If you're not perfect, you're not doing everything you can to be precise and shorten up the distance, you can hurt yourself. And I'm talking about the difference between, what Burton just ran at 85 and an 87 or an 89 or an 81. The driver can make that much of a difference.
He was a 78 in the first round, and so he slows down a bit for that second round run. Here's Justin Haley.
I remember we came down here and I think we got the pole at one of these races, and we had the Dartfish over the second place car. And the second place car was a half a car length higher in the corner, and that they ran the exact same speed down the straightaway, go into the corner, and the two cars literally split, and you could see the gain on the bottom by the car that ran lower. And that I already kind of knew that was important. Like, this is a great job right here, so almost perfect. The yellow line is on the apron, right? And so if you ran the tire on the yellow line, the splitter is going to hit it. Everything is going to drag, slow down. So getting as close to that as possible without hitting it is what's important in qualifying.
A 73 for Justin Haley, so that's 3/100ths of a second faster than what he ran in round one. You mentioned Dartfish, kind of a ghost car that would go out there you would compare your line to.
Yeah.
We saw it. I think I remember the first place I ever saw was downhill skiing in the Olympics. You know, to give you an idea, because I didn't know, you know, half a second, 2/10 of a second. I understand it at a closed circuit racetrack, but I didn't understand up and down the mountain. In the Olympics, they would put like the fast run on the side of the mountain, and then the current skier, or that's where the Dartfish stuff in my mind first came. You know, and you talk about what else you can do. I mean, look right here, right? So his left hand is out. There's a mirror right there, and he's sticking his hand kind of flat on purpose out past that mirror. The whole idea is to get that air to tumble by that left rear spoiler. You know, it sounds weird because you would think sticking your hand out would create drag, which it does. But what you're doing is you're using your very small hand to kind of break, like a rockwood in the river. It breaks the stream and it just gets wider and messier. They're trying to get all that air away from the back of the car where that spoiler, much larger than your hand, is.
So Trevor Bayne goes 49.73. Again, a little bit of a pickup, about 2/100ths. Still second fastest behind Nemechek. John Hunter Nemechek with the biggest pickup so far. He picked up 8/100ths of a second, and that has put him up to the top of the four that have ran. Here comes Daniel Hemrick. Now Hemrick ran a 72, so if he can improve what we've seen guys improve, maybe 2/100ths of a second, he will be just a bit better than Nemechek.
What a great job around the corner here. And tight off the corner. So a lot of times you'll come up off of turn 2 or turn 4 and you want to open the wheel up and let the car drift out. And you think that you're sort of letting the car go, right? Opening the wheel up and the car is just going to kind of spring off the corner. But it's actually faster to stay tight, stay right against that yellow line all the way off the corner and down the short chute to the flag stand. Just like that.
We'll see how it translates to speed here for Hemrick as he continues to paint that yellow line. And he goes to the top of the chart with a huge improvement. 49.68 for Daniel Hemrick.
49.68. P1 right now.
So he picked up over 4/100ths of a second. We'll see what Parker Kligerman can do. Right now, currently below the cut line. Has had great success on super speedways, drafting tracks. 2 times the winner in the Truck Series.
Right around the corner, that skirt on the left side was flat against the ground all the way to the back, and you can see down the straightaway the back comes up a little bit. A little bit of movement right there down into the bottom of turn 3. You saw the car kind of wiggle back and forth.
Is that scrubbing speed off his lap?
Yeah, you don't want the car moving around at all. You don't want to have to be moving the steering wheel. He had to correct. I mean, I guess the car might have turned into 3 a little sharper than he expected. He's trying to keep the splitter off the apron, but to the top of the board.
A 66 for Kligerman.
So a lot goes into what you were just asking, right? It's the front tires scrubbing back and forth, but it's also when you work the steering wheel, it asks for power steering assist, which takes power away from the, like there's a lot of thing that goes in. As you work the steering wheel, it's more than just physically moving the car. You're asking the physical engine to do more work now, right? Because now the power steering has to add more assist, and now that's putting drag on the belt. Like it's not dollars, but it's a you know, a good handful of pennies that you're trying to add up here. I know all this because back when it was only 2 laps and nothing was impounded, everything I just mentioned would have been changed.
Would you take the power steering off?
Oh yeah, and you'd have your own a whole new front end system that would drive with no power steering. I mean, it was
different oils.
Oh boy,
so many different things that would take place. As Sammy Smith's on the clock now. Sammy ran a 62, a 49.62 in the first round. We'll see if he can back that up, maybe even improve upon it like we've seen. A little bit of cloud cover. Does that help at all on the lap?
Not as much as the wind. It's really all about wind here.
Fastest lap of a 49.58 for Sammy Smith. So he also improves 4/100ths of a second.
So everyone's pretty consistent with improvement. With the only really standout with Jeb Burton went a touch slower. I mean, they'll go back and look at the temperatures. Who knows? Maybe Jeb will come in and say, "Man, I didn't get the shift as good as I want." You know, the biggest thing is you just want to know why.
Here's Sheldon Creed on the clock. And you see him trending in the green right now. Off of turn 2. One thing that teams can't do is, you mentioned, make it as short a round as possible. They can't go below the double yellow line, even in qualifying.
That car was barely gaining and started gaining more and more the further they got down the straightaway. That could be a little bit wind, or I would be very proud if I was RCR, saying, "Hey man, that sounds and looks like engine to me." If that car either has less drag at the end of the straightaway, or the motor's really starting to put in some great work in the last 25% of the back straightaway.
Or the combination, right? Because it's not just how much power you make, but how much you can get to the rear wheels. That's mechanically, but it's also how do I shim my engine, my transmission, what kind of drive shaft angle for the backstretch? You mentioned the skirt height, right? So the car rides at different heights around the racetrack. Where do you want like the perfect alignment of all those things to get as much power to the back wheels?
We're taking them into the weeds today, man.
Chandler Smith not going to like the way he came to the green here.
Well, when you have 2.5 miles and you're talking 300ths of a second wide open, it is in the weeds. It is in the weeds.
All our hardcore fans are loving this information.
So right here, to your point, RCR, right? So Creed was 3rd in the first round, and right now trending in front of the 16 of Smith. If that trend continues, that would put him on the front row. And with Hill still to go, RCR could perhaps back up the speed they had in Atlanta that they were unable to show in that final round with a mechanical issue.
And Chandler Smith never was in the green, so when he came to start his lap,
he was losing
that
time.
Speed. Yeah,
and he might have not done something exactly right on his shifts. Might have not taken the car to the certain RPMs. Maybe he got a gust down the back straightaway coming up to speed that really stunted the whole lap and the whole process for him. So with the clouds moving in, we've been running an hour and a half now. The wind definitely changes dramatically down here. This is the man. This is the final car. Austin Hill in the 21. A big lap, a 37 in that first round. And look at the time already against his teammate. Austin is driving down into turn 1, trying to hold that steering wheel as steady as possible. Skirts bottoming out on the racetrack just a little bit. Hardly any movement in the steering wheel throughout the corner, and this is another big lap.
Instead of left hand out the window, right hand off the steering wheel.
You would call this holding a pretty wheel, wouldn't you?
That would be a line from Leonard Wood of the famous Wood Brothers.
Yes.
And this is going to be a demoralizing lap to the field because everyone is very close except. And, I mean, this is going to be
another.
I think it's going to be faster than what we saw in the spring.
49.25 for Austin Hill. 4 times a winner.
49.25. Good job, bud.
On the super speedways, and Austin Hill has won the pole. It's his 4th career pole in his 72nd start. Last pole was Talladega back in April of this year. So once again, Austin Hill, the king of the hill when it comes to super speedway. Austin Hill has once again become the fastest Xfinity Series driver at the World Center of Racing, and standing by with him is Nate.
Indeed. So you were on the pole here in February when you won. You were on the pole at Talladega. It seems like you're kind of the king of super speedway racing right now. Do you get a sense that you're going to have a car, especially given your teammate was 2nd, that you can race for another win again tonight, Austin?
Yeah, I mean, I think that everyone on our Realtree Chevrolets just been working really hard on these super speedways. We work really hard everywhere, but our super speedway program's just been really good, really solid last year and now this year. So it's awesome to have Sheldon up front with us. RCR front row's really nice. We have some Chevy alliances around us, so that's always great. But it's really just everybody back at the shop and the 21 team that brought such a fast Realtree Chevrolet. There's only so much a driver can do. Make sure you get through the gears, don't spin the tires, and then hold a pretty wheel, and we were able to do that. So excited to see what tonight brings.
Yeah, qualifying obviously is the team's job here, but the race is the driver's job. You pulled that off in February. You know, do you feel a certain sense of motivation, I guess, to sweep the season here?
Yeah, I mean, you always want to win any race that you go to, especially here at Daytona. It's such a historic event. So, you know, Derek, Nealon, my spotter, and I, we do a really good job working together. We're going to try to, you know, work together the same way we always have tonight, try to stay up front, keep track position, and ultimately just be there at the end and hope it all works out for us.
All right, Austin Hill starts from the pole again at Daytona, looking for his second win here this season.
Be there at the end, and he has been there at the end so many times. As we take a look at the starting grid, Austin Hill, Sheldon Creed, the two RCR cars will start side by side.
When it's a stacked front four rows, right? You have Colleague Racing there with Chandler Smith, Daniel Hemrick, Parker Kligerman, single car operation, but looking to find his way into the playoffs, comes in 3 points behind, will start up front.
He's 3 points behind the guy in row 8, Riley Herbst. And so Herbst will start quite a ways back compared to Parker.
Joey Gase with a great qualifying run back there in row 8. Casgrala, I think he'll have a good run tonight, sitting there in the outside of row 9.
And this is that group of drivers you don't want to overlook, right? Kyle Weatherman, Josh Williams, Brett Moffitt, the right style of racing, the great equalizer being the draft. You know, they don't have as fast a car as we've seen in qualifying, but these drivers can still win this race.
Jeremy Clements did it a year ago. He starts in row 16 tonight. Gray Galding, Natalie Decker, Garrett Smithley.
Jordan Anderson, Ryan Sieg not able to post a lap for a technical violation. I'm sure those two cars will be driving through the pack when this green flag drops tonight.
Well, Austin Hill wants to use his pole. He sat on the pole here in the spring, but he had a radio issue, so he ended up coming down underneath the pace lap. Started all the way at the back and won. Maybe tonight a little bit calmer. He can just start on the front row for the spot he's earned.
30 laps make up the first stage. Who's going to win stage 1 here? Will it be Austin Hill?
It'll be hard to beat that 21. He's faster in the field by 2/10, and he's one of the best restricted plate racers in the field.
You know who you got to gang up on? He's proved that he's the fastest. Don't help him.
Don't help him.
Pick some friends and try not to help him.
Again, Cup Series qualifying at 5 o'clock. Coming up next on USA, it's the Dale Jr. Download with Jeff Bodine.